it's your Godfather Wolf. Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for stopping by. Here we are, another episode of the Howling Podcast, season number 2. If you missed season number 1, available here on the channel playlist, as well as any other episodes for season number 2 as well. This episode, we're talking about my story, my trilogy, the Regulators Trilogy, how it all came about. So, the Regulators was first intended to be about a gang of high school teens. And they formed for two reasons. Number one, their first reason was because they were great friends who loved hanging out with one another. And the other one was that they wanted to correct all that was wrong within their little town, the crime, the whatever, like little things that they thought they had to correct. And I was going to give them names just off the top of my head. These names came to me, animal names: the wolf, the bear, the lion, the tiger, the elk, and the rabbit. And they were going to face off against these great horror icons of film, such as Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Pennywise, so on and so forth. And one of them was going to get a book of spells, an Necronomicon book or whatever it was, and they were going to summon, Freddy and Michael, Jason, whatever. But that storyline I questioned because I thought, it just felt stupid and stale. I mean, who would actually look at this nonetheless for like 5 seconds, or who would read this? So I went back to square one, rethought things a little bit. I dropped the animal reference names. I gave all the characters actual names. And there was one character who decided to get a book of spells. That part I did not change. He decided to get a book of spells, like the Necronomicon or wherever it was, and he summoned what were man-like monsters, half man, half monster. And he set them out to destroy teachers and everybody who he felt that was doing him wrong. Teachers yelling at him about assignments and such, and anybody that he thought that was giving him trouble, he was going to send these man-like monsters out to him. The whole Regulators thing came from Nate Dogg and Warren G, taking nothing away from that amazing song, but the Regulators mount up. I love the way that is because it gave the opportunity to bring all these characters together by saying, Regulators, mount up. Give them an opportunity to get in there and do what they had to do. So we go into the second part of the trilogy, which is the Regulators Reunite. This takes place 5 years after the Regulators, the first one. And they come in, they all graduated. They come in for to meet for the uh, what is that that they people meet at the class reunion, so to speak, and they're there to destroy one of their own. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything about that, but that one in its own right is a really good second part of the trilogy. Then there's the third part of the trilogy, which is the Regulators: The Evil Returns. It's about a new group of kids. One kid finds one of the Regulator girls' diary, and they read it, and they summon the man-like monsters one more time with one chance. I am proud of the trilogy. I look back on it and I laugh because when I first intended to go with these animal-like names, I'm glad I decided to rethink things. I'm glad I decided to step back and bring the reader who reads the trilogy something to get intrigued by, something to continue to read. Because in the trilogy, in all three parts, you never knew exactly what was going to happen, what the characters were going to be, uh, what the characters were going to face, what the Regulators were going to face, what the man-like monsters would do, or what they would, or how they would destroy or take care of whomever went into their path. It's just something that it's one of those trilogies or one of those stories I wrote that I can go back myself and read and be there like a movie, like watching all this stuff unfold. and it takes me back to when I was a teen growing up in the 80s, uh, or a teen into my 20s, when I was growing up and seeing these 80s horror movies such as the Friday 13th franchise, the Halloween franchise, the Nightmare on Elm Streets, etc., and seeing the extreme brutality of some of the amazing uh, ways that Jason or Freddy or Michael Myers or whomever could destroy or could just uh, you know kill these people in the films. And I look back on it, some of the brutality that went on in the Regulators Trilogy was brutal, absolutely brutal. And I look back on it, and I'm very proud of the Regulators Trilogy. I will leave a link to the description, or excuse me, a link to the website where you can find the Regulators Trilogy. I hope you all give it a read and let me know exactly what you all think of the Regulators Trilogy. I would appreciate that. This has been a Hollywood Podcast Season number 2. We have been talking about the Regulators Trilogy. I hope you all enjoyed listening. Thanks for watching. Wolfman Lewis, your Godfather Wolf. Ow! I am out.